The first major gaming release of 2025 managed to defy the odds, beat the controversy, and, well, result in, over 80,000 concurrent players, and now with a recent sales update, the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has sold over 2 million copies. Hey man, they beat the rap, and congratulations to Warhorse Studios for putting out a game that I'm resonating with a lot of people. I, for one, am not going to play it. It's not really my style or anything like that. I've talked about it ad nauseum. I think that a lot of the stuff is very hilarious, and if Daniel Varva would go ahead and shut his yap long enough, there's a very bright future ahead for the studio. And while people can continue to complain and, oh, 100's still 15, yeah, it's gross, it's weird, the game would probably be doing a hell of a lot better if it didn't have that controversy on there. But hey man, there's obviously enough stuff in there that is resonating with players that has resulted in what will likely end up being one of the better selling games of the year. So perhaps the next time something like this comes around, you need to recite him a little bit more of a compelling Bible verse, overt moralizers. But another game, another big release that is on the horizon comes out today. And in fact, if you guys are watching this video when it releases, I do believe the embargo for the standard edition is likely up for Avowed. Yes, we have finally arrived. February 8th. The game officially drops, but for the past 5 days they have had an early access period. That is, of course, if you're willing to shell out $100 American, $120 Canadian. We get absolutely fleeced up here because $90 for the standard edition for a game that looks this generic. I mean, I was never going to buy it, even with the, the very positive rating it's receiving right now. It's been absolutely like, hey man, maybe it's beating the odds. Maybe it's also going to be a second look masterpiece. Maybe all of that scuttle from behind the scenes where it's just kind of a buggy, meandering, pathetic gameplay loop with a bunch of, forgettable story beats. Maybe it's going to be something a little bit more than that. Okay, maybe this really is the Obsidian of old, finally coming back and trying to claim their crown and put Western RPGs back on the map. Well, if you take a look at the people that are super excited about this game, it's not working out well for them. Okay, and I understand, yes, this is early access, but these numbers, I mean, they aren't going to get much better. Okay, and these are at least the publicly available numbers that are out there. And as you can figure out, I'm recording this Monday evening, so yeah, of course, this is just the early access numbers, but it already peaked Sunday evening, right? 13,000 players, 13,000 of the most devoted coming out and plunking down that 100, 120, wherever you're at. And yeah, if that's your most excited segment of the population, everybody who is going to be playing this more than likely is going to be checking it out as a part of their included subscription to Game Pass. And I don't think we're going to see that number tick up all that much. And here's the thing, man. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 managed to overcome the odds and beat the rap because Daniel Varva, even though he would go on and continue to make an asshole out of himself, he went out and he clarified what exactly was going on. Oh, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia wanted to ban our game because of an unskippable gay scene. Actually, no, that's not the case here. We'll just bullet point out everything that's going on. Does that clear it up for you? Great. And if not, oh, okay, cool. We'll just get into a bitter back and forth that lasts longer than it really needs to. But in the case of Avowed, why I got on everybody's radar at, what was that, at the tail end of last year? I forget. All of this stuff has just been absolutely insane, and this has just been another little snippet in there. But there was Pronouns. Okay, there was Pronouns that was picked out in the character creation screen when a bunch of people had their early access looks, a bunch of access reviewers that are out there, some of them good, some of them shills, but the overwhelming sentiment is, oh guys, this one right here, this one's a banger. I know we had the exact same thing going around for Dragon Age the Veilguard, but you can trust me this time around, okay, like this one, Avowed, it's it, okay? This is the game that you have been looking for. But it's funny, right? Because during those reviews, and eagle-eyed viewers could see, it's like, oh, the pronouns are very prominently right at the top and very much a part and an intrinsic part of your character creation screen. Now, all of a sudden, on the dawn of release, and for the people in the early access, the people that obviously either wouldn't have minded their inclusion, or they're just fans of the genre, fans of Obsidian rather, and are willing to plunk down the most amount of money for an opportunity to to play a game that they were going to enjoy regardless. But as you can see now, when you're making your goofy looking character with weeds and flower petals growing out of their head, you can now display identifier and player characters. They're now just simply a tick box. Well, I still think that that's cringe and gay, that it's a part of a fantasy game. They've been walked back from the edge a little bit, as Grums points out. Avowed forced to add option to disable pronouns in-game. Whatever Matt Hansen was threatening with the default and putting wokeness in the game, he's been soundly rebuked. He hasn't posted on social media in 2 months, and yeah, he was the guy who really kicked all of this stuff off alongside, Elon Musk bringing this stuff to light. As you can see, you can kind of see it. I can't zoom this in any further, but you take a look at the old character creation screen, and yeah, it's been updated a little bit. But obviously, in the coming days, we'll see how intrinsic and how necessary all of that stuff is throughout the rest of the game. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to play it. We'll see other people potentially play it, but it's weird, right? Because during this early access period, and well, to be completely honest, I was kind of off social media over the weekend. I was a touch under the weather. Still kind of getting over it a little bit, but it's totally fine. It's not really affecting things all that much, but I didn't really see anybody stream the early access of this game. It's definitely one of those that's just kind of coming and going, man. Even so much that IGN gave it a 7, so it's tough, right? It's tough to gauge how well this game is going to go, and this week and this weekend is going to be very telling, because this is another one of those situations where we're not going to get the full scope of if this game succeeds or fails. It really does look like a fail. It looks like it's following along that exact same trajectory that other games made in its image have done before. Veilguard, Star Wars Outlaws, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, primarily released on subscription-based platforms, and then the moment that there are Steam numbers available, they're all underperforming even incredibly low expectations. And as such, word of mouth is just, it's underwhelming, right? Because on Steam, right, very positive of the people that were already highly likely to enjoy the game to begin with. Clocking in at, and Steam charts, shout out to them for doing, a great job aggregating all of this data. 78%, I guess that's fine, but you've got your captive audience on this one. You're just simply polling the converted. You're preaching to the choir and you're asking them, okay, how do you think the sermon went this weekend? So you're not exactly getting the most accurate of depictions. So we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see what goes on here. If word of mouth, outside of the controversy that made this game famous to begin with, if that manages to be the persistent narrative going forward, or if this game redeems itself on its merits. I kind of doubt it. Avowed backtracks on pronoun display as Obsidian. Our director, Matt Hansen, maintains social media silence after outburst at Elon Musk. Yeah, that's becoming... It's interesting, right? Because there's another video that I have planned before the end of the week where we're going to be talking about, hey, do you think these guys, all of these creatives that are out there, the people in the entertainment sphere, do you really think that they're going to, take the temperature of the room, see which way the wind is blowing on a bunch of different things, and, I don't know, maybe curtail their message a little bit? Spoiler, of course they aren't, but we'll leave that for another time. Avowed, the highly anticipated first-person fantasy RPG from Obsidian Entertainment. Yeah, and also, like, another thing, too, okay, thinking that, it's going to be more cinematic, so of course we're locking gameplay at 30 FPS. It's like, I can't believe we're still doing this in 2025, but alright. It's currently out in early access, and players have already discovered a major concession concerning pronoun features. Despite months of controversy and bold rhetoric from art director Matt Hansen, it's now possible to display pronouns in the game's settings. The discovery was first reported on X by, Grums, as we pointed out there before. Even if they added an option to remove pronouns. I can't support a studio that does nothing when their art director espouses racist and illegal hiring practices and froths at the mouth to basically own Elon Musk. Yeah. Grum said, this attitude needs to be eliminated from AAA. Vote with your wallets. And yeah, I remember the meltdowns. We covered the meltdowns. You can go back and watch them. They were glorious. And I think I have an Avowed playlist on YouTube if you're so inclined to go back and check out some of that older stuff when Matt was really running wild, brother, on Twitter. And then, some of those older clips about how he wanted a black guy to replace his job. And he was just going to sit in a chair in the corner of his office while his replacement more competently does the job than he does. I don't know, man. Like, Matt Hansen's a very strange guy, but his bigger spurg outs were happening over there on Blue Cry, where all of the best content goes down for all of these creepy leftists. But yeah, the overt and over-politicization of Western gaming, it really came to a head last year, and we're still dealing with a bunch of the fallout. I know I'm not talking about the overrated gaming franchise, but I'll be interested. I'll be very interested. Maybe it's a good game. Who knows at the end of the day. But a lot of people also talked up Obsidian's most recent release as well, the Outer Wilds. You can kind of see a blurry picture of the poster in the background of Matt Hansen over there. But that game's reputation has really nosedived in recent times. And I'm just wondering if the bloom is off of a bunch of these studios now that everybody kind of sees what's gone on behind the scenes, and now that everybody has an opportunity to take a look under the hood and look at all of these quote-unquote creatives that are working on it, and realizing that, yeah, if we continue to support this type of shit, we're just going to get this same old derivative type gameplay, these same lazy, low fantasy, wannabe high fantasy settings that is just modern day-isms jam-packed in, cranked out by a bunch of disheveled hacks and idiots with axes to grind. From what we're hearing right now, I don't know if Avowed is going to be the most political, and maybe that's going to be its death now, because it doesn't have any controversy around it. Nobody's really looking at it as cringe fodder, and it's just simply going to evaporate into the abyss. Who knows, man? But we'll be checking it out later in the week, I'm sure. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.